Hello, this is Ruchika. This lesson is on IELTS assessment criteria for speaking. It'll be a one-on-one exam between the candidate and the examiner. Either you opt for paper or a computer-based test. The pattern remains the same. So, the four key areas that you are judged on are fluency and coherence, pronunciation, grammar, and lexical resource, which means vocabulary. Let's take up fluency and coherence first. Fluency refers to the smoothness or flow in your speech. Make sure your rate of speech is constant. By which I mean, there mustn't be long pauses or repetition of words or sentences when you speak. You need to show the examiner that you do not hesitate in speaking English, and in fact, are comfortable putting your thoughts in words. Coherence, on the other hand, means logically organizing ideas. Meaning, do not just hop on abruptly to a completely different set of ideas from what you're already saying. In fact, try and establish a connection between ideas with the help of signposting. Now, what is that? Signposting is using certain words or phrases that link your sentences, making what you're saying all the more structured and not abrupt. Here are some examples of such phrases. You can pause the video, take your time, and read them carefully before you move further. Now, how to score on fluency? Since this exam judges your proficiency in English, you are expected to speak at length and not in just one word or a yes or no. Let's see how you do that in each part of the speaking test. In Part 1, you will be asked about 11 to 12 questions on familiar topics. You must answer them in 2 to 3 sentences. For instance, your question is, what's your favorite food? Your answer can't be pizza. You need to build on your point by adding a few details, such as, I love Italian, especially pizza, because of the amount of cheese that goes into it, and it's often sprinkled with tasty herbs. And that's how you attempt all the questions in Part 1. In Part 2 of the test, you will be given a topic to speak on, along with some bullet points to help you make notes during 1-minute preparation time that you get. Then you need to speak for 2 minutes, uninterrupted. You should speak without any pauses and hesitation to be able to get good marks on fluency, for which you must use the bullet points on the task card to help you structure your ideas and then expand each point when you start speaking. Although the examiner may stop you before 2 minutes, or he may keep listening to you for the assessment, he can't get you to speak beyond 2 minutes time. I suggest you keep speaking until the examiner stops you. In Part 3, you will be asked 5 to 6 questions based on topic in Part 2. In this as well, you need to expand and develop your answers to speak at length. You can do this by thinking of reasons, effects, and comparisons maybe. For example, your question is, what are your views on increasing pollution problem? You can mention reasons of increasing usage of fossil fuels compared to that of generation ago, and talk about effects of pollution, say talk about health issues, changing weather patterns, global warming, etc. This way, you'll be able to speak at length. Remember, practice is the key. Record your speech and listen to it to know if you're repeating certain words or sentences as you speak. If you are, record again and ensure that you're not making the same mistake. Let's discuss our second criterion now, pronunciation. This criterion is judged on various pronunciation features and their accuracy, as in how you pronounce the words as per their spellings, which can actually be confusing sometimes. For example, epitome, which is wrongly pronounced as epitome, or maybe indict, which is pronounced as indict. The second thing in pronunciation is word stress, which means stressing the correct syllable in a word. For instance, available and not available. Sentence rather than sentence. Or maybe angiography, commonly spoken as angiography. Also remember, when the form of a word changes, sometimes the stress syllable also changes in the same word family. For example, celebrate, but celebration, celebrity. Another example would be catastrophe, but catastrophic. So, take care of the syllable stress. Then we have intonation in pronunciation, meaning rise and fall in your voice. Supposedly, you want to say this sentence, my favorite water activity would be canoeing, which involves paddling. This was with intonation. Without intonation, it'll sound, my favorite water activity is canoeing, which involves paddling. Doesn't that sound robotic? Also, it feels that one has memorized this sentence, which will result in lower test scores. You'll also fetch marks on pronunciation on using contractions, which is shortening and combining of two words, such as don't for do not, doesn't for does not, I'd for I would. For instance, instead of saying I would like to talk about, say I'd like to talk about. Since IELTS speaking is considered an informal test, and even contractions are a part of informal English, use them. Here's a list of common contractions. You can pause the video and click its picture so as to practice speaking them in daily routine to be able to speak them naturally in the test. Now a final tip on pronunciation. Don't be too fast or too slow when you speak. Keep your pace natural. Listen to the authentic English sources for practice, as they'll help you get familiar with the range of pronunciation features. So that's all for fluency, coherence, and pronunciation. Please watch the second part of this video for the other two criteria, grammar and lexical resource. All the best!